Well, it's probably been a while for the regular viewers, or four or five of them, but preseason is in action. The NBA offseason is pretty much 100% done. And we're approaching the 2022-23 season, so it's about time that we start talking about it. So don't correct your cameras. Fauzi is just in a different location than normal. He's taken up my old posture perfect approach of sitting on the bed and slowly destroying his lower back. And I've moved to an actual table. So how things change in the off season. So obviously today we're gonna talk about our predictions. It's hot take central when not a single game's been played yet, and a couple of injuries haven't occurred yet, and a couple of trades haven't occurred yet. But we're going to predict all the way up until next June, individual performances and team performances, and we're going to start with who we think is representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals, who's coming out on top in the West. And I'll lead. I watched one preseason game of the Warriors versus Wizards, and James Wiseman looked very good in one of them and pretty average in another. But that is just a weird extra card that the Warriors get to play on top of what is already a very good team. I was a little cynical of their run last year, but I'm pretty confident that Clay gets a little bit better now that he's got a full season to come back from injury. Poole, Moody, Kuminga, even Wiseman now. I think the Warriors will coast in. I think they'll maybe be a third or a fourth seed. I think they're going to act a little bit like the LeBron stages, where LeBron just kind of knew, if I get in the playoffs, I'll make it to the finals. And I think the Warriors are going to do the same thing.
You're picking the Warriors. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
To win the West.
Yeah.
I will have to agree with you here. I actually broke this down a little bit further though. I don't think though the Warriors are going to come out with the first seed though in the West. I was having a look at some teams here. I'm actually really high on the Pelicans. I put that on this recording. Yeah, I reckon the Pelicans can crack the top four. All right, in the West. Okay, if they can stay healthy, and Zion can stay healthy, obviously, and he's the cornerstone there. I think they got a really good chance to really shake up the sort of those spots there in the West there. But look, I had the Clippers finishing first in the West. But I think, like you said, man, the Warriors, considering they went all the way last year, and considering, look, they did have a couple of players go in free agency, probably noticeably Gary Payton, second. But the players that have come in are no scrubs either, let's be clear. And Wiseman coming back, Clay coming back healthier. Again, as long as they stay injury prone and Draymond starts punching his teammates. Did you see that article today?
It's just trying to keep the buzz going. I don't know.
So look, I guess that's one from one. We're both saying the Warriors all the way, right? In the West.
I feel like we should have had a seventh section for the hot take, because you did your Pelicans take for the top four. My hot take that I want to slip in right now real quick. I reckon the Timberwolves will be a top four seed. There's that Rudy trade got absolutely blasted in the media, but I think if that ends up clicking the way that I think it can, I reckon they're going to be in contention at the top four. I don't reckon they're going to do anything once they're in the playoffs, but top four, I reckon. We'll move on to the East, right? So if Golden State's going back to the finals, who are they going to compete against? And the East is probably a bit more open. Maybe you found that. I think with the Celtics off season, the turmoil that's happened there, it's pretty easy to write them out of the finals now. Philly looks good. Miami seems to always hang around, but I don't know if Miami did anything enough to really push them over the edge. Brooklyn is back in business, but that's for a week, and they kind of change with the Kardashians almost in terms of how that season plays out. So give kudos to the Bucks, who technically are a champ a couple of seasons ago, Atlanta, who's upgraded, and even Cleveland, who got Donovan Mitchell. But I'm going with Philadelphia. I think that they were right there last season. I think Harden, maybe I'm buying into the tangent that he's lost weight and that he's more locked in and focused, but They've put some good role players around that team as well. It's essentially just Houston from 3-4 years ago with Joel Embiid, but that's not a bad team. And I think a full season of them getting the chemistry right gives Philadelphia a really good chance to come out of the East.
I got some love for the Sixers, man. I'll agree with you on that part, but I don't have the Sixers coming out of the East yet. I think they're definitely up there, top six probably. Bucks and Celtics, Miami, those teams are definitely there. But I actually got a bit of a dark horse here pick for coming out of the East here. I'm going with the Cavs. I think the Cavs could be the Utah Jazz of the East. Okay, and the Jazz of the West only, I think, 3 seasons ago won 60 games. Okay, and that was with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy obviously as well anchoring that center spot. But arguably around them, there was not that many more pieces between besides the two of them. Okay, now you put Mitchell into the Cavs. Okay, and the Cavs obviously have Garland, Jarrett Allen, Mobley coming back in a couple of weeks' time, Kevin Love. Rubio as well coming back. Hopefully, again healthy from his injury. Play late in the season. They got Sadie Osman coming off the bench. They've got these players that are all veterans and capable players. That's an upgrade on that Utah squad that won that many games. Okay, I think the Cavs here. This is my pick here. Are going to finish first and come out of the East here, and ultimately play the Warriors, I guess, in the final. So. But hey, look, let's see, right?
It's a very hot take. I think the Cavs are going to be good. I don't know if they're there just yet, but the 60 wins I could agree with, but getting out of the East, I don't know if that's the time for it just yet. But
it doesn't matter, right? Because if it's I'm saying a Cavs Warriors final, and you're saying a Sixers Warriors final, who's going to win it, Nick?
Well, I think we both probably are in agreement that I reckon the Warriors probably go back to back on this one. We're talking now when everything looks great on paper, and if Clay has a full season and he's definitely not back to his former form, and the young guys are too inconsistent, and Steph Curry's a year older, and Draymond Green's punched too many people, maybe the Warriors aren't in the same position that they are now. But it is a dynasty. They've been to the finals now 6 times in the last, 8 years, I think. That's Bulls territory, and they're quite poised to do it for a 7th time, which is now LeBron territory almost. But it's a team effort, and it's a system. It's the same coach. It's a similar core. You feel confident about them going through. So it's really quite safe to say that they should be able to get another one.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. I think bearing any health, and I continue to think back that season when I picked Steph Curry on my fantasy team, and then 11 games in, he fell on his hand, and that was that. All right, so barring that sort of freak sort of situation, I guess look, the Warriors on paper, like you said, I think we're going to agree here that I think they're potentially going back to back here, because who's going to knock them off? That's the bigger question, right? Who's got the talent to guard them? No one's figured it out for 8 years. Is that what you're sort of saying? If they haven't figured it out 8 years now, they're not going to figure it out now, right? So it's I think we're watching something special here potentially.